Bhaktiri bhavati nayestikim. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandaloka Kumaraya Govindaya Namo. Hare Krishna. I'm unable to see my screen. Let me share it. Can you see the screen here? Devotees?
It's coming up, Roji.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it is. I don't
But
know.
yeah, it's coming up. But
Okay. Yeah, it's a 15th chapter and shloka number 7th. I think it is coming up. Maybe it takes time. It is another computer. I have this one. It is taking time to load that page. I don't know. Anyway, this shloka, okay, it's coming. Thank God.
yeah, it's came up.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. I was kind of stressed out. Okay, so this 15th chapter, right? Seventh shloka. So the 15th chapter is entitled as the Yoga of the Supreme Person. The Yoga of the Supreme Person. We all know that with the same person, so Supreme Person, and yoga means linking with the Supreme Person. And I was looking at different, starting from 1 to 7 shlokas. Krishna is giving the all a confidential matter, how we can go to him, what we are supposed to do, okay, and how easily we can go. And also in this shloka, especially Krishna explains that how, even the preceding shlokas, how the senses are very important to control, to reach out the Supreme Personality of God. How sense control plays a major role in the devotional service. And that also confirmed by great acharyas in our Gaudiya Parampara. And also our great Ambrish Maharaj also explained so beautifully how controlling the senses one can attain the Supreme Lord abode. Mamapecha Punarjanma Dukkalayam Ashwashvatam Napnuvanti Mahatmana Samsiddhim Paramamagataha. How you go to Paramamagataha? By controlling the senses. Senses are the things which are keeping us. Senses are the things which are making us to float in this material world all the time. Okay, so since I said that, I'll go to the shloka here. And if you can recite after me, that would be great. Mamaivam sa jivaloke.
Mam evam cho jivaloke.
Jiva bhuta sanatanaha.
Jiva bhuta sanatana.
Manasastan indriyani.
Manasastre indriyani.
Prakriti sthana karshati.
Prakriti stani karshati.
Karshati, okay. We'll directly go to the Anybody would like to recite the shloka?
Mamevansho jivaloke
Mamaivamso jivaloke.
Babhuta sanatana
Jiva bhuta sanatanaha.
Tasthani indriyani
Manasastani indriyani.
Prakriti karshati.
Prakriti sthani karshati. Anyone else?
Mamoivangsho jivaloke
Mamaivamsho jivaloke.
Jiva bhuta sanatanaho
Jiva bhuta sanatanaha.
Manas sasthandriyani
Manasastani indriyani.
Prakriti sthani karshati.
Prakriti sthani karshati. Anyone else? Okay. Translation by Prabhupada. Yeah. Okay, this. Yeah. Translation. The living entities in this conditioned world are
Living entities in conditioned world are
my eternal fragmental parts.
My eternal fragmental parts.
Hold on, I do something. Sorry, 1 second. I think my computer has a problem. This is 7. Okay. Due to conditioned life,
Due to conditioned life,
they are struggling very hard
they are struggling very hard
with 6 senses,
with the 6 senses,
which include the mind.
which includes the mind.
This pop-up is not going away. Okay, at least. Okay. So that's how Krishna explaining it. Okay, we'll see what. Purport by Prabhupada ki Jai. So here, it explains very clearly that the living entities in this condition, this is one of the very famous shlokas, which compares with Christianity, Bible. Jesus says that man is made in the image of God. Okay, that also confirms in Bhagavad Gita that the living entities are in this condition of my eternal fragmental parts. So that includes that we are the parts and parcels of Lord Sri Krishna. That also corroborates with the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's basic tenet of Jivere Swarupe Krishnera Nityadas. Because we are part and parcel of Lord Sri Krishna, our eternal duty to serve him. And that's what Krishna is saying. Entities are conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, look at that. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard. We are all, due to conditioned life, the word conditioned is very significant here, struggling very hard with 6 senses, that including mind plus 5 senses, we are struggling very hard. The senses takes over precedence of anything what we think. Sometimes we think of doing devotional service, 6 senses would come and our false ego comes on the way to soar everywhere, okay? So what we will do, we'll go to the purport by Prabhupada, then we'll discuss some important points in this shloka, okay? If anyone volunteer can read the purport, please.
I'll read, Prabhuji.
Go ahead.
In this verse, the identity of the living being is clearly given. The living entity is the fragmental part and parcel of the Supreme Lord eternally. It is not that he assumes individuality in his conditional life and in his liberated state becomes one with the Supreme Lord. He is eternally fragmented. It is clearly said, Sanatana. According to the Vedic version, the Supreme Lord manifests and expands himself in innumerable expansions, of which the primary expansions are called Vishnu Tattva, and the secondary expansions are called the living entities. In other words, the Vishnu Tattva is the personal expansion, and the living entities are the separated expansions. By his personal expansion, he is manifested in various forms like Lord Rama, Narsimhadev, Vishnumurti, and all the predominating deities in the Vaikuntha planets. The separated expansions, the living entities, are eternally servitors. The personal expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the individual identities of the Godhead, are always present. Similarly, the separated expansions of living entities have their identities. As fragmental parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, the living entities also have fragmental portions of his qualities, of which independence is one. Every living entity as an individual soul has his personal individuality and a minute form of independence. By misuse of this independence, one becomes a conditioned soul, and by proper use of independence, he is always liberated. In either case, he is qualitatively eternal as the Supreme Lord. In his liberated state, he is freed from this material condition, and he is under the engagement of transcendental service unto the Lord. In his conditioned life, he is dominated by the material modes of nature, and he forgets the transcendental loving service of the Lord. As a result, he has to struggle very hard to maintain his existence in the material world.
So, yeah, so beautiful. Thanks, Mati, for reading. So beautifully, Krishna explaining what is our position, what is Vishnu Tattva, what is Jiva Tattva, how we are part and parcel of Vishnu Tattva, because if you take our soul as eternal, and Krishna has his own expansions, those are called like Vishnu Tattva, and they are the Jiva Tattva expansions as well, right? And it's called Sanatana. He's eternally fragmented, and the purpose is eternal. Not the assumed individuality in his conditioned life. His liberated state becomes one with the Supreme Lord, and he is eternally fragmented. We are always separate from Krishna, because a lot of people think, I want to merge into impersonal Brahman, I want to unite with the God. No, we are always independent, eternally fragmented, and it is clearly said Sanatana. From the Vedic version, the Supreme Lord manifests and expands himself into innumerable expansions. See, everything coming from Krishna, the source is Krishna, of which primary expansions are called Vishnu Tattva, right? Vishnu Tattva, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Jagannath, Krishna himself, Rama, Narasimha, Vishnumurti, all are Vishnu Tattvas. In other words, Vishnu Tattva is the personal expansion. Living, I know we have Purusha Avatar, Guna Avatar, Lila Avatar, Ramanamantar Avatars, etc., out there. By his personal expansion, is manifested in various forms like Lord Rama, Narasimha Deva, Vishnumurti, and all predominant deities in the Vaikuntha planets. The separate expansions are the living entities as eternal servitors. The personal expansion of Supreme Personality of Godhead, the individual identities of the Godhead are always present. Krishna is eternal, we are also eternal. Because if you take the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, what is that? Najayate mite va kadachin, the characteristics of the soul. As a soul, a part and parcel of Krishna, we are also eternal. Krishna is eternal, we are also eternal. Okay? And the living entities are eternal, Krishna is eternal, and Jivas are also eternal. They're my fragmental parts. But if you're fragmental part, you're enjoying there. Krishna is enjoying there, and we are suffering here. Right? Krishna is enjoying in Goloka Vrindavan, you're suffering. When you're fragmental part, you're enjoying there and we're suffering here. Because we're trapped into Manaha and 5 other Indriyas. Sastrani, Indriyani, 6 senses, including the mind. Because of those 6 attributes of mind plus Indriyas, which is making us to live here forever. And because of those 6 items, we are suffering. Right? The separate expansion living entities. The personal expansion of Supreme entities, individual entities, they're all present. Similarly, the separate expansion of living entities all have their identities. Okay, we have our identity as a fragmental part and parcel of Supreme Lord. Living entities also have fragmental personality qualities. Okay, of which independence is the one. Because Krishna has 6 opulences. We also have 6 opulences in a minute way. And Krishna is a fully independent. We also given an independence that's called free will. Okay, and the misuse of that free will, which is given, every living entity as an individual soul has personal individuality and a minute form of independence. It's called minute form of independence, free will. By misuse of that independence, this is okay. By what? When we say misuse means what? Misuse means that we think we are independent of Krishna. We try to lord over the material nature. And we think that I am independent, I don't need anything. Misuse of independence. And because of misuse of independence, conditioned soul, what happens? We are trapped into this material contamination. So, by misuse of independence, one becomes conditioned soul. The moment you misuse our independence, then we will be conditioned in these three modes of material nature. And by proper use of independence, is are liberated. See, this independence, which is minutely given, could be either good or bad. How it is bad? If you misuse that independence and use for our sense gratification, try to enjoy through our senses without Krishna, that becomes a source of agony. But at the same time, the given free will, which has been used for the worship of the Supreme Lord, service of the Supreme Lord, and then that becomes a free of it is liberated state, is free from the material condition. Okay, and he is under the engagement of transcendental service to the Lord. In his conditioned life, he is dominated by the material modes of nature. Look at that. When we are engaged in the devotional service to the Supreme Lord, we are independent of these three modes of material nature, and we are situated in our constitutional position. That's called liberation. See, the definition of liberation here, what Prabhupada explains in second canto, liberation. What is liberation? Liberation doesn't mean I don't want to work any sleep lazily forever, I don't have to work. That's not the liberation. Liberation definition is when a living entity situated in their constitutional position, that is a perfect liberation. What is the constitutional position of living entity? Jivere Swarupai Krishna Nichita. That is we're serving Krishna here. When you go to spiritual world, liberation, what we do, we will be 100% in a constitutional position, serving Krishna 24/7, which is our natural duty as a human being. That is what's supposed to do. Human beings are meant for self-realization. What is the self-realization? I am not this body. I am meant for the Supreme Lord service. That is the constitutional position. And when you use your free will for the Supreme service of the Supreme Lord, that's a liberated state. But one thing we should remember, whether a liberated state or conditioned state, we have to learn to be humble. Humility, these two attract Krishna. Now I got liberated, now I can do whatever I want. No, even the liberation has to be tried until last minute of our breath to be in that situation, humility and humbleness. Okay, if you're liberated, okay, liberated, even liberated souls can fall down also if these two qualities are not maintained. There are lots of rishis, Vishwamitra and Katvanga Muni, last minute they realized, and Shaubari Muni, without association, what happens? We have so many stories. What happens that if you don't maintain the status quo until last minute, liberation. Serving, okay, I did 16 rounds today, I don't want to do from tomorrow. No, we have to do 16 rounds until we die. Because Maya is so powerful, anytime it can come and attack. Okay, here, so Shastrani in the six senses, including the mind, right? So that's why we have spirit, soul. Okay, we have a spiritual body. Spiritual body has the eyes, legs, etc. But these manifested body, eyes, etc. are artificial, and with these eyes, we need to propagate the path of bhakti properly by using our all senses. Ambarish Maharaj explains how the senses of each and every body, Savai Mana Krishna Padara Vindayor, Vacham Shivai Kunta Gunana Varnane, Karo Harer Manjara Marjanatisho. Each and every part of the body should be used for the service of the Supreme Lord. In that case, what happens? We have no free will. Even though we have free will, but we don't think that is a free will. We want to use it in our sense gratification. Free will can be again given whatever free will. In the devotees' case, they have a lot of free will, but they give that back to Krishna service, all the free will. Whereas material people, they don't have free will, but they have free will, very minute quantities. They misuse it for their own sense gratification. That is where this entanglement in this world comes. So that is basically a conditioned state of the living entities. And by the mercy of His Divine Grace Prabhupada and all the Vaishnavas in our place, we are luckily engaged in so many activities in the temple, Damodara month, maybe festivals, etc., etc. We are going beyond our capacity, beyond our limitation, so that we engage our senses 24/7 in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, and if we don't do that, the consequences Krishna explaining beautifully here. That what happens if you are not using your senses in the proper way? Janam mrityu jara vyadi dukkha dosha anudarshanam. You have to visit again and again Janam mrityu jara vyadi. right? So, yeah, any volunteer to read the second paragraph, please? Ashish Prabhu, want to read the second paragraph? Ashish Prabhu? Okay, let me see who is there.
Sorry, Prabhu, Haribol Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Go ahead.
I was in mute, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Very nice discussion and very nicely nicely you presented these things. Very good, Prabhu. Prabhu, my question is that
No, it's not the question and session yet. I'm asking you, I'm requesting you read the second paragraph.
oh, sorry, Prabhu.
Okay, so questions comes later. Let us read the first and understand what Prabhupada gave. Then we'll go to the question and answer session.
Okay. The living entities, not only human beings and the cats and dogs, but even the greater controller of the material world, Brahma, Lord Shiva, and even Vishnu are all parts and parcel of the Supreme Lord. They are all eternal, not temporary manifestations. The word Karsati, struggling or glapping hard, is very significant. The conditioned soul is bound up as through shackled by iron chain, and he is bound up by the false ego, and the mind is the chief agent which is driving him in this material existence. When the mind is in the mode of goodness, his activities are good. When the mind is in the mode of passion, his activities are troublesome. And when the mind is in the mode of ignorance, he travels in the lower species of life. This is exactly happening to me also sometimes.
Okay.
It is clear, however, in this verse that the conditioned soul is covered by the material body with the mind and the senses, and when he is liberated, this material covering perishes, material covering perishes, but his spiritual body manifests itself in its individual capacity. The following information is there in the Madhandinayana Shruti. Sabha esha brahmo nishto idam sariram martam atisarja brahma bhi sampoda brahmana pashyati brahmana Shrunati brahmana naibhedam sarvam anubhavati. It is stated here that when a living entity gives up his material embodiment and enters into the spiritual world, he receives his spiritual body, and in his spiritual body he can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. He can hear and speak to him face to face, and he can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead as he is. From Shriti also it is understood, it is from Shriti also it is understood, Bhasanti yatra purushaho sarve vaikuntha murtayaho. In the spiritual planets, everyone lives in bodies is features like the Supreme Personality of Godheads. As far as bodily construction is concerned, and there is no difference between the part and parcel living entities and the expansion of Vishnu's Murti. In other words, as liberation, the living entity gets a spiritual body by the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Oh, thank you, Ashish Prabhu, for reading. So nice of you. Yeah, thank you. So, here Prabhupada will be explaining how living entities okay, and the cats and dogs, even greater controllers of the material world, Brahma, Lord Shiva, everything is a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. And they're eternal. Every living entity is eternal. Why? Because every living entity is a Atma in there. So Atma is a part and parcel of Krishna, not temporary manifestations. The words karshati, struggling or grappling hard, is very significant. See, Krishna is there in Golakundi enjoying, but we are part and parcel of Lord Sri Krishna. Why we are not enjoying? Because we are entangled in this material world and our senses have been used in the wrong purpose. That's why we are struggling. Though you are part and parcel of Lord Sri Krishna. The conditioned soul is bound up as though shackled by iron chains. We are shackled, we are completely tied. He is bound up because of the false ego, ahankara. This is one of the greatest enemies for all of us, false ego. Ego is good. The real ego is, I am the servant of the Lord. False ego is, I am this body. Ahankar. Ahankar. Every one of us, though we claim we are devotees, we have false ego so much in our consciousness. We claim, oh, I am this, I am that, but nothing doing. We all have so much false ego. If you go and give one small instruction to somebody, they immediately fires up. Who are you to give it? So the way we react to the actions of the people, we can say how people are totally false ego. We give classes, big classes, lectures, but our false ego is so high. We have to introspect ourselves, okay, our false ego. And the mind is the chief agent which is driving him in this material. Our mind is the central hub location for all the desires. And the mind is the mode of goodness. Our activities are good. When the mind is the mode of passion, activities are troublesome. Right? In the mind of goodness, it travels in the lower species of the life. There is we're reading Bhagavatam third canto, there are 3 hellish planets. Tamisra, Andatamisra, some third one. So we go to that places where mode of passion is very high. These activities are troublesome when the mode of passion. The mind is the mode of ignorance. It travels, okay? It is clear, however, in this verse that conditioned souls is covered by the material body. Yes, we have a spiritual body and material body. Material body is made of panchabhutas. Earth, water, ether, air, fire. Within the end, we have subtle body, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Okay? And we have a soul, pure soul. And at the time of death, what happens? This gross body is cremated or put into ground. And the subtle body with mind, intelligence, and false ego, soul carries forms the next body. That depends what are the actions you perform in this lifetime. That will be carried along with the subtle body is called. It's a subtle body and forms next body. In the case of people who are perfected their spiritual realizations, they go towards Goloka Vrindavan, and pure soul finally reaches to the Supreme Lord. And Prabhupada saying here, pure soul also has legs, eyes, everything is there for the soul. That is our Swarupa Lakshana, our what do you call, spiritual form has everything. With that spiritual form only, we go to the Goloka Vrindavan and serve Krishna in that capacity, whatever relationship we develop in that capacity. And there are 5 relationships: Vatsalya, Madhurya, Mother Yashoda, Vatsalya Bhav, okay, and Sakhya, etc. All those in relationship you develop with Krishna. With that relation, with that capacity, you go with the spiritual form and serve Krishna in the Goloka Vrindavan. But before going there, we have big test here. And that is how we need to practice here. To practice, first of all, we should give up our false ego. False ego is the biggest problem. All of us have false ego and sense control. See how sense controls plays a role. I was reading the Prabhupada class. He gave an example of how deer gets trapped by altered sense. Deer, we all know that deer. Deer is like, Hiran bolte hain Hindi mein. How Hiran gets attracted by the altered sense of hearing. So deer can lose its life for the nice music. Okay? And at the same time, elephant, how the elephant, especially Srimas Prabhu know how in Kerala side, how they catch elephant. They do a big hole On the other side of the big hole, they put an elephant, and it comes, a male elephant comes and jumps to touch the female elephant, and it falls into the big hole. That is a touch, the female. So sense of touch. Okay. And Shama falls into the fire, attracted to the fire, sense of, and it loses its life. Same way, beasts get into the flowers, and the sun comes, it closes and it gets trapped. Fish by the taste. So like that, every animal has each sense that will take away their lives. But if you come to human beings, we have all these 5 in our bodies, our chitta. So we should be very, very careful to attract to any of these senses. So the senses have to be controlled. If you have to be senses have to be controlled, we have to do the master of the senses seva. Who is the master of the senses? That is Krishna. Rishikeshena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Vichyate. And Krishna is and guarantee is telling that, in other words, the liberation, the living entity gets a spiritual body by the grace of the Supreme Lord. So when we become our ahankara, our senses have control in proper way, it's not a problem chanting. It is very easy to chant. Because of ahankara only we don't chant. Why? Krishna is the Supreme. So ahankara has to be minimized. Ahankara has to be controlled. The ahankara has to be constantly evaluated our ahankara. And if somebody, how vehemently we react to other people's questions, answers. Somebody comes and says how we respond to them, and you can see a person how they respond to you. We can find out what conscious level they are. There are some people are really pleasing and minding happily, even if it's something, okay, I did not do it wrong. Somebody, no, I didn't do it. Why are you telling me? So there are ways that they react. It depends also. We can judge, but anyway, we are not here to judge and point out, but we can learn from them how try to be controlling our ahankara. That is because of ahankara only we are all here. Because of ahankara with Krishna, we came here by Krishna Supreme. We thought, I want to enjoy independently, Lord over the material nature. We came here. So that's why sense control is very important, especially in this month of Kartik. Prabhupada has given us such instructive way of offering Damodarastakam prayers and Diya, okay, to subdue our flickering mood and flickering nature, and how we can use our senses in the proper way for the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in whatever way it's possible, by kirtan, by offering, by servicing, etc., etc. Okay. So the last paragraph. Any volunteers for the last paragraph? Okay, if nobody is there, I'll take it. The words Mamaya Vamsha, fragmental parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, are also very significant. The fragmental portion of the Supreme Lord is not like some material broken part. We have already understood in the second chapter that the spirit soul cannot be cut into pieces. This fragment is not materially conceived. It is not like matter, which can be cut into pieces and joined together again. That conception is not applicable here because the Sanskrit word Sanatana, eternal, is used. The fragmental portion is eternal. It is also stated in the beginning of the second chapter that each and every individual body, the fragmental portion of the Supreme Lord is present. Dehina asmita dehe. That fragmental portion, when liberated from the bodily entanglement, revives its original spiritual body in the spiritual sky, in a spiritual planet, and enjoys association with the Supreme Lord. It is, however, understood here that the living entity, being the fragmental part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, is qualitatively one with the Lord, just as the parts and parcels of the gold are also gold. We have Sachidananda. Krishna is Sachidananda Vigraha. Our soul is also Sachidananda. Feel all the qualities of Sachidananda. But it's entangled, it is engaged in this material body and affected by the senses, okay, and false ego, and soul is suffering in this body. So the overall aim here is that to come over that, we to overcome that and serve the Supreme Lord with the zero false ego, okay, and use your senses for the Rishikesha, who is the master of the senses. When you use your senses for the master of the senses, your senses get automatically satisfied. You don't have to put a special endeavorment to satisfy your senses independent of Krishna. Why? Krishna is the master and Krishna is the superset. we're all subsets in Krishna. The superset is satisfied, subset automatically gets satisfied. Our senses automatically gets under control. And happiness, that's the real happiness we are seeking in this world. Okay, not the happiness doing some material activity, not smoking cigarette, drinking beer. No, they're all ephemeral, short-lived. But we are looking for their transcendence, the Supreme Lord's happiness, that is eternal happiness. So that's what explaining, though we are part and parcel of Lord Sri Krishna, but because of our minute independence, because of our sensual engagement in different aspects, then we'll be trapped in this material world. Krishna is also like, why he's in the Golaka Vrindavan, he's enjoying because his sense of perfect under control. He's a master of the senses he's a master of the senses, right? And we are not able, but so that's how it is. Our is because of manaha, moha, and sangadosha. We have to be very, very careful about these things, right? And he is also eternal, you are also eternal. He is conscious, we are also conscious. He is Satchidananda, we are also Satchidananda. Both of them have the same qualities, but you're struggling, he's enjoying. Why? It should be like that because of materiality. And this is, we are not able to see. Why we are not able to see? We are not able to see because of the false engagement of our senses. Okay, and we have seen how each animal can become addicted to the sense, and they can lose their life. In the same way, if you keep on using Adanta Gobir, what is it called? Adanta Gobir, I forgot the shloka. Punaha Punaha Charvita Charvanana. Come back again and again here, using senses, thinking something best is going to be there. Chana Punaha Punaha. Again and again. Prabhupada gives the example of a Ganna Ras. You take one time, juice comes. Second time, third time. How much juice is there? Well, nothing is there in this material world. Nothing attractive. This world is not meant for gentlemen, Prabhupada says. Okay. So as a devotees, we have to be careful. First of all, we have to try to do that. What is that point I said just now? False ego. We all have a lot of false egos, okay? Irrespective of whatever we are, second initiated, third initiated, doesn't matter. False ego. We all have false ego, a lot of false ego that we have to control. Okay, so that's what, and this corroborates the Bible. Okay, man is made in the image of God. We also, so the Shastras, all Shastras, in their purity, give the same message. But they're perturbed, they're changed later for the use of their personal gain. But if you take the original scriptures, all the scriptures are, Quran also very beautiful. Everything is good. But because of this modification by the people who take advantage, those things. But any scripture you take, all the God words are pure and they teach the same thing. Okay, so I'll stop here and I would like to invite any criticism or whatever it is, or additions or whatever it is. Hare Krishna, we're all here. I hope I did not make everybody get bored.
No, Prabhu, very good discussion. You described properly and really enlightened us. Prabhu, this is we are the part and parcel, but we are the Jiva Tattva. That is for
Can you
sure.
speak a little louder, Ashish? I think my system has a problem.
Okay, no problem, Prabhu. Sorry,
yeah.
Prabhu. Sorry.
No problem.
So, Prabhu, we are the part and parcel of Lord as a Jiva Tattva, but with a marginal potency. So, my question is, Prabhu, today that Jiva Tattva or Bhagavan and Bhagavan Chit Anant, and there is some Vishnu Tattva, there is some Shiva Tattva also.
Yes.
Shiva
Tattva. There is a Shiva Tattva. It's a separate Shiva Tattva. Is there correct?
So, is there anything like that? I'm not talking about that. Just is there anything Devi Tattva also there, ki Prabhu?
Huh? What is that?
Devi Tattva is there or not?
No, there's no Devi Tattva. I never heard about it. We have Jiva Tattva, Vishnu Tattva. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's mainly. Vishnu Tattva means all the incarnations and expansions of the Supreme Lord. And even Lord Brahma, Shiva also falls under Jiva Tattva. Brahma also definitely Jiva Tattva. Shiva Tattva is a little complicated to understand, but Brahma also belongs to Jiva Tattva. Because
Yes.
in the 8th chapter, he explains, Krishna Prabhupada explains, right? What is that? Abrahma bhavana loka punaravartano arjuna mamupecha tu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate. Starting from Ant to Brahma, everybody has to die end of the day. Only the life expectancy is high, that's all.
Yes, Prabhu. And once we get liberated, then we will not come back again here. So that is the Krishna already confirmed these things. Krishna already assured us. So, but to get that position, get that level, and so here properly, Bhagavan told that we are struggling. Actually, we are really struggling here in this material world.
Yes.
So that is correct. Yes, go ahead, Prabhu.
But as soon as you are under the Prabhupada umbrella and you have taken the Acharyas, the wonderful spiritual Acharya in your case, and you're chanting 16 rounds and serving whatever in your capacity, you're all set. You don't have to be worrying about these things. So only thing is, try to be humble, okay? And of course, you're humble. No? I'm not saying, I'm just telling in general.
No, I'm not humble, Prabhu. So that's
humility.
You are correct. We need to be humble, Prabhu. That's
humble
correct.
And humility, and what you have done already, you have initiated, just keep chanting and maintain the equilibrium life. Because we're all under the bus of Prabhupada bus. We are boarded his train. So Prabhupada will take us slowly.
Sure, Prabhu. I agree with you, and I agree with you, and I whatever telling that's right, totally right thing, Prabhu. And other thing, Prabhu, just in connection that in the last day, there is some I have a questions actually. That time I did not discuss, but today I need to discuss with you that. So this is you are talking about that Devi Tattva means that is Mahamaya and Yogamaya.
Oh, those are different. Mahamaya, Yogamaya, those are the what you call Krishna's energies to help. Yogamaya is basically helps devotees to march towards devotion service. Mahamaya, like material energy which keeps away from the devotion service, etc. Those details. Don't mix up these things.
Oh, okay, Prabhu.
Yeah.
So that's correct. But my question is that Mahamaya, Yogamaya is the Krishna's energy, and we are the marginal energy. Everything Krishna and Krishna's energy, but Yogamaya and Maya, that they are the eternal or they are the Jiva Tattva.
Oh, Mahamaya, Yogamaya, okay, I think they belong to probably Jiva Tattva. But yes, again, these are two entirely different topics. Okay. This Mahamaya, Yogamaya, basically, there are energies of Krishna, which, for example, Durga Mataji is there, right? Yes. Durga Mataji, she is a powerful material maintenance. She's the devotee of the Lord. Even Yogamaya, Mahamaya also devotees of the Lord. But they see the mood in which you are. For example, you have more inclination towards sense gratification. Mahamaya comes and helps you, okay, beta, enjoy more and more. When you have a inclination towards Krishna, then Yogamaya helps to get more and more bhakti.
Okay.
So everything again depends upon your free will. That's why Prabhupada writing here, the minute independence given to you, that determines what you want to be. False ego and this minute independence which is given to all the living entities. Prabhupada writes in some of the books, the free will, how much amount of free will we have is that, Prabhupada compares a cow or a buffalo. When you tie in the villages, it can only move whatever is karasi, right? That can only move that much place. It cannot move beyond that place. In the same way, we have been given a little amount of free will, and if you try to use that free will for the Supreme Lord, okay, that's good. But if you try to use again the Supreme Lord, then that's a problem. So that free will determines where, for example, in your free will, when you take initiation, we all give it to our spiritual masters. We have no free will. Whatever my spiritual master orders, we will do it. Whatever Prabhupada said, we follow it. We chant. Okay, we are all set. There's no question. You don't have to worry about free will, this, that. But in case of non-devotees who are not there, then they have to be very careful. And also in the devotees also, free will, we have to choose what is to be done, what not to be done also. So we should be very careful. It's called discriminative intelligence. Discriminative intelligence.
Okay, Prabhu, got it. Thank you, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam, Prabhu.
And don't too much caught up all these words and you have taken Diksha, chant 16 rounds daily, and if you have deities at home, offer prasadam, and Krishna Katha you are hearing, you're all set. Don't try to be abnormal. Try to be normal before becoming abnormal.
Oh, that's correct. Yes.
Go to your job, do your job 8 to 5 nicely, get money, give whatever donation you can afford to Krishna, take care of your family, chant 16 rounds, be a nice grihastha if you're married. Just giving, no? You have to follow, maintain equilibrium in the life first.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
Don't try to do something like, don't try to become a hero. Then we become a zero. Then we become a zero.
Yes, correct.
So try to be normal, just normal.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Haribol, Prabhu. Dandavat. Thank you, Prabhu.
Great, Krishna. Sure. Anyone else has any questions? Okay, if not, let us conclude the session.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Class. Prabhuji, usually we do Damodar Ashtak after end of the class. So,
okay. Sure.
Anybody wants to sing?
You're the best singer, Mataji. You sing it.
Yeah, yesterday I sang, so that's why I'm just.
Okay, sure. If anybody wants, that's okay. Mataji is there, some Matajis are there. Anybody? Yeah.
Otherwise, I will go, Prabhuji.
Go ahead, Mataji. All yours.
One moment. Yeah, I just. Radha Damodar ki jai.
Yeah.
Namamishwaram Sachidanandarupam Lasatkundalam Gokule Brajamanam
Namamishwaram Sachidanandarupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam
Yashodabhiyalukalaghavamanam Param Mrishtam Matyantato Drusagopya
Yashodabhiyalukalaghavamanam
Param Dantam Muhurnitabhyugham Karamujayugmena Shatankanetram
Rudandam
Muhurnetra Yugam
Karambhutayugmena Sadanganetram
Muhoshvasakam Patririkhanga Kantha Stita Grivadamodaram Bhaktibhadram
Muhushvasakam Bhatri Gangakanda Vidagrivam Damodaram Bhaktibhadram
Iti Triksvalila Kunde Swagosham Nimachantam Akhyaphayantam
Idhi Triksolila Ananda Kunde सुघोषं निमज्जन्तम् अज्ञापयन्तम्
तदीयेषु तज्ञेषु भक्तिर्चितत्वम् पुनः प्रेमस्तं तं शतावृत्ति वन्दे
तदीयेषु भक्तिर्जितत्वम् पुनः प्रेमतस्तं सदा वृत्तिवन्दे
वरं देवमोक्षं न मोक्षं वदिं वा न चान्यं वृणेऽहं वरेष्वदपि
वरं देवमोक्षं न मोक्षं वदिं वा न चान्यं वृणेऽहं वरेशदपीह
इदं देवपुरनाथ गोपालबालम् सदा मे मनसा विरसाति मन्ये
इदं देवपुरनाथ गोपालबालम् सदा मे मनस्याभिराष्ट्रं किमन्ये
इदं ते मुखं भोजं हतन्तनीलय वृतं कुन्तले स्निग्धरक्तैश्च गोप्या
इदं देमुखाम्बोजमत्यन्तनीले मृदं कुण्डलैः स्निग्धरक्तस्य गोप्या
मुहुश्वासमुहुचुम्बितं बिम्बरक्तधरं मे मनस्य वीरस्थाधलं लक्षलाभे
मुहुश्चुम्बितं बिम्बरक्ताधरं मे मनस्याभिराष्ट्रं अलं लक्षलाभे
नमो देवदामोदर अनन्त विष्णो प्रसीद प्रभो दुःखजलाब्धिमग्नम्
नमो देवदामोदर विष्णो प्रसीद प्रभो दुःखजलाब्धिमग्नम्
दृष्टिवृष्टाति दिनं वतानो गृहाणि क्षमामयिदीक्षा
कृपादृष्टिवृष्ट्याधिदिनं वदानु गृहणेश मामस्नं दक्षिदृश्या
कुबेरात्मजो मध्यं वित्तं वक्रत्वं त्वया मुचितं भक्ति भाजो कृतो च
कुबेरात्मजौ बद्धमुखैव यद्वा त्वया मोचितौ भक्ति भजौ कृतौ च
प्रेम भक्ति स्वकामे प्रयच्छ न मोक्षे ग्रहो मे दामोदरे
तदा प्रेम भक्तिं शोकमे प्रयाच्छ न मोक्षे देहोमीष्टि दामोदरेह
नमस्ते धाम्ने स्फुरदीप्तिधाम्ने त्वदीयधरायाथ विश्वस्य धाम्ने
नमस्तेस्तु धाम्ने स्फुरदीप्तिधाम्ने त्वदीयोधराय विश्वस्य धाम्ने
नमो राधिकाय प्रदीय प्रियाय नमो अनन्तलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यम्
नमो राधिकाय स्तुतिप्रियाय नमो नन्दलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यम्
नमो राधिकाय नमो अनन्तलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यम्
Namo Radhikaya Diya Priyaye. Namo Nandalilaya Devaya Tubhyam.
Namo Radhaya Priyaye. Namo Nandanilaya Devaya Tubhyam.
Namo Radhikaya Diya Priyaye. Namo Nandalilaya Devaya Tubhyam.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Radha, Damodar Radhe.
Jaya Radha, Damodar Radha, Damodar Radhe.
Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra.
Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra.
Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai.
Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita.
Radha, Shama Sundar Radha, Shama Sundar Radhe.
Jaya Radha, Shama Sundar Radha, Shama Sundar Radhe.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
राधा श्याम सुंदर की जय, जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा माई की जय, गौर निताई की
Shri Radha Damodar ji ki jai.
Jai.
Okay, so we'll also read the translation, so devotees can read one by one. Please read.
To the Supreme Lord, whose form is the embodiment of eternal existence, knowledge, and bliss, whose shark-shaped earrings are swinging to and fro, who is beautifully shining in the divine realm of Gokula, who, due to the offensive breaking the pot of yogurt that his mother was churning into butter, and then stealing the butter that was kept hanging from a swing, is quickly running from the wooden grinding mortar in fear of Mother Yashoda, but who has been caught from behind by her, who ran after him with greater speed. To that Lord, Sri Damodara, I offer my humble obeisances.
Second one. Go ahead, devotees. This is a prayer to the Supreme Lord.
Upon seeing his mother's weeping stick, he cried and rubbed his eyes again and again with his two lotus hands. His eyes were fearful and his breathing quick. And as Mother Yashoda bound his belly with rope, he shivered in fright and his pearl necklace shook. To this Supreme Lord Sri Damodar, I offer my humble obeisances.
Third one.
Those super excellent pastimes of Lord Krishna's babyhood drown the inhabitants of Gokul in pools of ecstasy. To the devotees who are attracted only by his majestic aspect of Narayan and Vaikuntha, the Lord herein reveals, I am conquered and overwhelmed by pure loving devotion. To the Supreme Lord Damodara, my obeisances hundreds and hundreds of times.
Fourth one.
O Lord,
Go ahead, please.
O Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benedictions, I do not pray to you for liberation, nor eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon. My only prayer is that your childhood pastimes may constantly appear in my mind. O Lord, I do not even want to know your feature of Paramatma. I simply wish that your childhood pastimes may enacted in my heart.
O Lord, the cheeks of your blackish lotus face, which is encircled by locks of curling hair, have become reddened like bimbo fruits due to Mother Jashoda's kisses. What what more can I describe than this? Millions of opulences are of no use to me, but may this vision constantly remain in my mind.
Sixth one.
O unlimited Vishnu, O Master, O Lord, be pleased upon me. I am drowning in an ocean of sorrow and am almost like a dead man. Please shower the rain of mercy on me. Uplift me and protect me with your nectarian vision.
Seventh one. O Lord Damodara, in your form as baby mother, Yashoda bound you to a grinding stone with a rope for tying cows. You then freed the sons of Kuvera, Manigriva, and Nalakuvera, who were cursed to stand as trees, and you gave them a chance to become your devotees. Please bless me in the same way. I have no desire for liberation into your effulgence. Eighth one, everybody. Buddhists, those who are not at read, please read. Please read.
O Lord, the entire universe was created by Lord Brahma, who was born from your abdomen, which was bound with a rope by Mother Jashoda. To this rope, I offer my humble obeisances. I offer my obeisances to your most beloved Srimati Radharani and to your unlimited pastimes.
जय श्री दामोदर अष्टकम की जय
Jai.
श्री राधा दामोदर जी की जय अनंत गौड़ी वैष्णववृंद की जय
Jai.
Jai Jai.
वाञ्छा कल्पतरूपस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च हरिदानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः वैष्णववृन्द जय श्रीमद्भगवद गीता
Jai.
अनंत गौड़ी वैष्णववृंद की जय गौर प्रेमानंद की हरि हरे कृष्ण
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, everyone.
हरे कृष्ण हरि बोल